Good evening and welcome to a Television South Big Match special. Third round day in the FA Cup always promises that little bit of football magic, and we've got it for you tonight as we follow the would-be giant killers into action. There's second division Reading against Arsenal. The big question there, could Trevor Senior upset the league leaders?
Martin Hicks again at the near post. Trevor Senior is swarming in that penalty area again. And it's Senior! And it's kicked off the line!
From Reading to Aldershot, they were up against First Division Oxford, and that tie produced a game which will be talked about for years. And we follow the fans of non-league Maidstone, a day to remember for them too, as they visit First Division Watford.
We're going to thrash you, Watford! We're going to thrash you, Watford!
And on top of all that, perhaps the biggest game of the day, Manchester United against Manchester City at Old Trafford, and all the cup news from around the country. But we start tonight at Elm Park, where Reading from the second division were at home to Arsenal. George Graham's having a wonderful first season at Arsenal. His young side is top of the first division and unbeaten in their last 19 matches. Well, a crowd of just under 17,000 turned out today to see if Reading could end that run. Our commentator at Elm Park, Brian Moore.
Well, in keeping with the rest of the country, it's a pretty frosty prospect here at Elm Park. The pitch very hard and potentially treacherous through the middle. And maybe Reading will be hoping that this could wrong foot a high-flying Arsenal side. At any rate, the Reading team has got Gary Westwood in goal. A deal with Queen's Park Rangers with Paul Barron has not progressed. The back four is inspired by the recent return of skipper Martin Hicks, who fractured a jaw in 3 places. The midfield will depend much on the industry and experience of Les Taylor, who was a cup final man with Watford. And then up front, the skill and battling qualities of Kevin Bremner, and Trevor Senior, top scorer and reported target of a number of top clubs. Meanwhile, Arsenal there unchanged. John Lukic in goal, a back four that's among the meanest in the country, where young Tony Adams is receiving so much excellent critical acclaim. In midfield, the chance once more to assess the rehabilitation of Steve Williams and the growing class of young David Rocastle. And then up front, the 6'4" Irishman Niall Quinn and Charlie Nicholas. And certainly for Senior, top scorer with 14 this season, a real shop window opportunity for him. He's a great finisher. And now up against Tony Adams, the 20-year-old, and with David O'Leary forming one of the best central defences in the whole league. The referee is Jim Borrett of Norfolk. So it's Reading who get this cup tie underway in difficult circumstances here in the blue and white strip, with Arsenal in their traditional red and white. Arsenal unbeaten in their last 19, with a real winning habit, which is something Reading themselves know all about. Remember, they had 13 straight wins last season, a Football League record, but at the moment lying 18th in the second division. They've been really hard hit by injuries. They've got their side together again a little bit now and are hoping for the best on this difficult surface. This is Gary Westwood, their goalkeeper. Hicks and Anderson. Wood beaten in the air by Quinn. Little Steve Richardson getting it away. O'Leary's header. This is Terry Hurlock. Williams versus Sanson. And he's got past the England fullback. Senior's coming in on the far post. And Reading were under no doubts at all that they wanted to get the ball high towards Trevor Senior. There might well have been a foul on the keeper. And Williams did well to get past Kenny Sanson here and hoisted in a really good long cross to the far post. And a foul apparently on the keeper. Good turn there by Quinn. And his turn trying to get Rocastle away, and that's a dangerous game for keepers to play. I think Westwood really had to do it then, but on this sort of pitch, it's pretty unpredictable. Bevan. Bremner. And the foul by Bremner. think of the phrase, a real cup-tie competitor. It applies every inch of the way to this young man. O'Leary, though, with the free kick for the infringement by Bremner. Arsenal throw. There's Taylor. Rocastle making a bit of room for himself. There was no time there for Davis, and here's Herlock. A little touch now for Bremner. It might fall for Bevan, it does. Williams. Change of direction for Bailey, and a nice little ball played again by Herlock and then by Bevan, and here's Jerry Williams again testing this Arsenal defence, playing it wide, but Bailey had strayed offside. They played some nice, thoughtful football on a difficult pitch coming forward then. Woods header. Williams planting it forward again. Quinn getting in behind the Reading defence. Good play there by Arsenal. Rocastle now with a chance to cross it in. And a mishit shot there by Martin Hayes. He's a top scorer with 14, but he had a splendid opportunity there. Hayes. Very much to me as though it came off the Arsenal number 11, but I'm a long way from that scene, I must say. Certainly a moment ago, it was a splendid opportunity for Hayes after a good little cross by Rocastle. So Arsenal's corner. Arsenal fans behind that goal as Steve Williams now lines it up. Adams in there. Quinn in there, when you think of it. O'Leary around the place. There are plenty of six-footers around. It's a clear. Sanson putting it forward again to Quinn. Mishit, and Wood turning it away for another corner. That looked to be falling, but for Quinn's intervention to be falling for Charlie Nicholas. Steve Williams again. Keeper's ball it has to be. And it's in there. And it's Charlie Nicholas. From the corner, to the delight of the Arsenal fans, Charlie Nicholas, who in this corresponding round last season at Grimsby on a similar frozen pitch got a hat-trick, hooks in a beautiful goal there for Arsenal. 1-0 with 20 minutes gone. So just the start Arsenal required to calm any fears they might have, and their thoughts go back, and their fans too, over the last few seasons, and what happened at York, what happened against Walsall in a cup competition. Would it happen at Reading as well? Well, Charlie has helped to dissipate some of those fears. Hicks. Well, you were saying before the start to me, it's real Scottish weather, so maybe Charlie Nicholas feels very much at home here at Elm Park this afternoon. These freezing conditions. Turning it on well for Williams, and this is where a lot of the problems for Arsenal have come from this afternoon. Senior! A level! A brilliant riposte there for Reading. Certainly something worth seeing again. Certainly Williams has caused one or two problems to Kenny Sansom and to the Arsenal defence on that side of the field. A perfect cross in, flicked up in the air, and there's Senior in off the post and in for the equaliser. So suddenly it's a different picture. So a matter of 2 minutes later, Trevor Senior gets his 15th of the season, and he'd scored only one in the last 11 games. Well, he's a name that's been penciled in by a number of First Division managers, and he knows that what he does against Arsenal this afternoon could have a great bearing on his whole career. Well, he's shown what he can do. He really is, as Ian Branford, the Reading manager, says, he's probably the best finisher that he's ever worked with. And here it is again towards Senior. There's his header once more, putting Arsenal under more pressure, and Lukic is up. Now Sansom. Touched on by Quinn and played back by Wood. Free kick to Arsenal. Sansom will take it. Hicks there with the header. O'Leary. Nicholas. Touch there towards Viv Anderson. Will he get there first? Good keeping by Westwood. Hicks, who wins it in the air. Bevan's clearance. Adams. Quinn. Now can Rocastle make something of this? Bailey was in there. Penalty given. That looked a bit tough to me. But the referee, I have to say, was right there, and his finger went straight to the spot. And a penalty it must have been. The referee 100% right. Never a question about it. And the referee was right on the spot, and if I had any doubts, I was wrong. And the referee 100% right. And now Martin Hayes, who has scored with 7 penalties this season of his 14 games, has not taken one that's more important than this. It's 2-1. Taken by the 20-year-old, and that was quite a test for him. So delight again for the Arsenal fans. Westwood went the right way but didn't get a firm footing, and Hayes has made it 2-1. Bremner up. Richardson. Reading's throw. Good turn there by Taylor. Richardson. Evan available. And a lively first half for him, and a good cross in there. And unfortunately for Reading, it caught Jerry Williams a little bit off balance. He fired in a totally unexpected cross there, did Bevan. Some good work in the first place by Les Taylor. And then Richardson plays his little part with the ball to Bevan, who's really made himself available for just about everything this afternoon. And then, having got to the byline, whips in a really low, hard cross, and Williams just a little bit off balance. Sanson. The last minute of the first half now. Flag up on the far side this time for a free kick for Reading. Sanson who had to put it away to the safety of the Reading crowd, providing the home side with a corner right on half-time. Can Reading right on half-time bring this back to 2-2? Martin Hicks again at the near post. Trevor Senior is swarming in that penalty area again. And it's Senior! And it's kicked off the line. That time by the big forward, Niall Quinn. Now Arsenal breaking out. Herlock. Rocastle. Nicholas. Was lucky the bounce went his way. Hayes' header is held at the second attempt by Westwood. Certainly was touch and go at the other end, though, and it was a header by Trevor Senior, which is deflected on the way, and it was kicked off the line by Quinn. Half-time whistle, and a really entertaining cup tie here, with a few frights for Arsenal, even though they went ahead with Charlie Nicholas after 20 minutes, and then Trevor Senior, who's had this amazing scoring record, 113 goals in 163 games, a great strike record. Hit a fine header to make it 1-1, and then the penalty from Martin Hayes after Rocastle was brought down by Bailey, giving the First Division leaders a 2-1 advantage at half-time. So Arsenal get the second half underway. They now attack the goal to our left, comforted by the knowledge that their defence has leaked only 15 goals all season, and they're leading here 2-1 in this potentially difficult cup tie against second division Reading. Also with the knowledge that they've had a Senior header kicked off the line just before half-time, which could so easily have brought it back to 2-2, and that will encourage Reading, who certainly were full of commitment in that first half, as you might expect in a cup tie. And if anything, on the evidence of the first 45 minutes, a little unlucky to be behind. Hicks going forward for this throw from Richardson. Just failed to get the header. Williams, miss kick getting it away. Taylor playing it wide. Can Jerry Williams get in on this one? He's not offside. And it's played too firmly. It just needed a little dink cross in there, but it was maybe the first wrong move that Jerry Williams has made all afternoon. But certainly Arsenal leaving that side of their defence dreadfully exposed, and Williams might have got in there. Nicely there, good header there by Williams. Played on this time, and a good pass there by Trevor Senior. Here's Jerry Williams. It calls for a good cross. He's got it! And now Taylor, just wide of the goal, but coming off a defender, and a really effective break there again by Reading, and a warning to Arsenal that this game is anything but over yet. Started, in fact, with a fine ball by Senior, and a lovely cross in again. And here comes the corner. Jerry Williams with it. Taylor, good ball, played wide again. There's time now for Williams to measure up across. Taylor again, keeping the pressure on. Bremner trying to get a turn in. Arsenal under the cosh there for a moment or two. Martin Hayes, chased by Bailey. Hayes did well there. And it's there by Charlie Nicholas! A terrible mistake in the Reading defence. They all waited for each other to react as the ball came in at the far post. And one man who didn't wait was Charlie Nicholas to score his second and Arsenal's third. Well, that was an absolute aberration there in the Reading defence. And, well, as they say so frequently, for mistakes like that, when you're playing first division opposition, you get punished for them. I think you get punished for this sort of mistake, mind you, in just about every division. They waited and allowed it to go all the way through to Nicholas. So Reading 1, Arsenal 3. Charlie Nicholas in the 52nd minute, his second goal of the game. Ian Brantford, rather thoughtful there. Second from the left, on the bench as we look at him. But his side really have been a credit to him and his coaching staff today, even though they're 3-1 down. Rocastle. Quinn. And Hicks asserting himself. Not only that, finds Jerry Williams. He had a storming game today, and what a lovely cross coming in again by him. Bremner trying to hook it back in. Well, no doubt in my mind who the man of the match for Reading is. Certainly Les Taylor's done a lot of work in the midfield, but Jerry Williams, he's again outwitted Kenny Sanson. Not only that, it's a lovely cross coming in there. Free kick to Reading, and certainly they've got nothing to be ashamed about in their performance this afternoon. It's been full of hustle and bustle with some moments of good skill and certainly one or two moments that threatened to unhinge and upset Arsenal. And as we come to the last minutes now, here's Les Taylor with a free kick for them. Floated again in there towards Hicks and Senior, but the big men from Highbury get the header away again. Taylor planting it in once more. O'Leary and Senior just wide again. Showing his ability to snap up all sorts of half opportunities, and he was really annoyed with himself after the back header by O'Leary fell invitingly for him. He caught it on the volley. Chase is on, and Bevan's making that chase, gets there first as well. Stuart Bevan, and tried to turn David O'Leary and Adams, and just wasn't on. But it was the long ball that almost turned out to be very effective, and he's certainly done plenty of chasing as the final whistle goes, as we see that again, and Adams gets it back. A real good hustling performance by Reading, but the superior quality of Arsenal told in the end, and the finishing of Charlie Nicholas. He got a hat-trick in this corresponding third round last season against Grimsby. He got 2 here today. He'd only got 3 in the rest of this season. But the cup ties have come around, and Charlie Nicholas and Arsenal have started to blossom. A final score then at Elm Park. It's Reading 1, Arsenal 3.
So Arsenal's run goes on, unbeaten now in 20 matches. But Reading fought well, and Trevor Senior, watched by so many top clubs, had good reason to be satisfied with his performance. Certainly he was delighted with his first goal in 12 matches.
Well, I've scored 1 in the last game now, so I'll start again though. But no, it was pleasing to score against Arsenal. I was quite pleased how I played as well. and I think all the lads did well. We worked hard, difficult conditions, but yeah, it was great to score against the best defence in the country at the moment.
Steve Williams, the former Southampton player, is currently the driving force in the Arsenal midfield, and he looks a totally different player this season under new manager George Graham.
Well, according to the media and that, yeah, I suppose that's true, but a different manager, different things, and he actually likes playing football, which is right down my street, really.
And people are again saying that you're playing so well, you're back on the fringe of the England squad, possibly?
Possibly, yeah. Possibly. You just got to keep going. If we lose the next 4 games, they'll say the opposite, won't they? So you just got to keep going. We're in the cup, that's the main thing. We're doing well in the league. You can ask no more than that, can you?
Steve Williams, well, still to come in this special edition of the big match. Manchester United against Manchester City, how non-league Maidstone enjoyed their day out at First Division Watford, and gallant Aldershot up against Oxford and Liverpool-bound John Aldridge. All that right after the break. And welcome back to this TVS Big Match special. Well, coming up in just a little while, the big Manchester derby, United against City. Little Maidstone enjoying a taste of the big time at Watford, plus the day's cup news. But first to Aldershot. The 4th Division club had attracted some criticism for upping their prices 300% for the visit of First Division Oxford. The cheapest tickets at the recreation ground cost £9, but the Aldershot faithful were rewarded with a day to remember. Nick Collins, our reporter.
A few minutes to kick off and the recreation ground terrace is anything but full. Less than 2,000 fans chose to pay the high prices, and that despite the presence of football's man of the moment, John Aldridge. The Oxford star's off to Liverpool soon for £750,000, but today back at the ground where he scored his very first league goal. Aldershot attacked from the start. Number 9 Mike Ring, in the side only as a late replacement, stretches the defence. Giorgio Mazin heads just over. In the 6th minute, Aldershot take the lead. Ian MacDonald's corner's headed out, but the Shot's captain quickly regains possession, crosses to the far post, and Colin Smith leaps to put the underdogs in front. Smith salutes the crowd, and the faithful few wave back. A rare Oxford attack, Aldridge is through, defender blankly dives in, almost an own goal. Some spectators found their own answer to the sky-high prices, getting a bird's-eye view of the action. On the half-hour, Barnes, who's been causing Oxford problems, is sent tumbling. Fijian referee Alfie Books lives up to his name, cautioning Trevor Hebbard. Half-time, Aldershot 1, Oxford 0. And time for a warming flask of tea. Second half, Paul Fryer keeps Oxford guessing. He finds Glenn Burville, and from 25 yards, he lets fly. Aldershot 2, Oxford 0. Those £11 tickets seem good value. Aldridge's wretched afternoon ends early with substitution. Then 7 minutes from time, Aldershot's third. Barnes plays a 1-2 with Ring. His first shot well saved, but he crashes in the rebound. Final score, Aldershot 3, Oxford United 0. And you'd have got 50-1 against that this morning.
If you get drawn at home again to a First Division or even a Second Division club in the next round, would you repeat the exercise and charge high prices again?
If we have only access to 3,400 people in here, we'll have to.
So if you were to draw one of the Plum sides in the next round here at the recreation ground, would you consider switching it to a bigger ground, perhaps?
We'll consider it, but arguing the way I do with local authorities that the football club is an asset to the community and an asset to the town, if we have the opportunity, as we did today, to get a First Division club at Aldershot, I'll do everything in my power to play the game at home.
Man United's, Liverpool's, people like that, I think we'd have to put the tickets up to about £50.
Yes, indeed, a great day for Aldershot, pulling off the biggest upset of the round. But that price increase kept the crowd down to just 1,996, one of the lowest ever recorded in the third round of the FA Cup. And Aldershot will be joined by Portsmouth, who beat Blackburn 2-0. Mick Quinn scored both Pompey goals, one in each half to take his season's total to 21. Brighton are still involved after a goalless draw at Sheffield United. They replay on Wednesday. And Gillingham's postponed match at Wigan is now scheduled for Monday. But Southampton are out, beaten 2-1 at Everton. Graham Sharp scored twice for Everton. Gordon Hobson got the Saints goal. And the South's other side, Maidstone, well, you can see how they got on just a little later. But there's more action now from Old Trafford, where the all-Manchester tie between United and City attracted the first 50,000-plus crowd of the season in England. The attendance, 54,295. Our commentator, Martin Tyler.
In his 11 games in charge, Alex Ferguson has already used 21 different players. But today's changes give his Manchester United a more familiar look. John Severbeck returning to the defence. In midfield, Norman Whiteside is also fit again, and Mike Duxbury continues to wear Brian Robson's shirt. And in attack, Peter Davenport is recalled to partner Frank Stapleton. Stapleton views Manchester derbies with a glint in his eye. 5 goals in his last 5 matches against Manchester City, including the one which gave United a draw at Main Road in October. Manchester City kept their lineup under wraps until just before the kick-off. Mick McCarthy, one of this week's flu victims, fully recovered to play in the centre of defence. In their midfield, Tony Grealish has also been ill, but he lines up alongside Neil McNabb and the versatile Steve Redmond. And without his top scorer Paul Molden, Jimmy Frizzell has gambled on 2 wingers, David White and Paul Simpson. And back at Old Trafford in City Blue is John Gidman, hoping to celebrate his 33rd birthday at the expense of his old club. But he nearly didn't make it here today. The car bringing him into Manchester broke down on the M56. He had to dash across a couple of fields and then was rescued by 3 United fans who insisted on watching today from the Stretford end, despite John's offer of complimentary seats. Referee Brian Hill from Kettering inspected the pitch at 8:30 this morning. It was a formality because industrial heaters have blown the frost out of the ground in the places where United's ailing under-soil heating hasn't been working. But it's very cold at kick-off time, and you just wonder whether the ground might crisp up as the game wears on. Here's Frank Stapleton. Mick McCarthy close to him. The early challenges are sure to be razor sharp. Like that one on Duxbury from Grealish. And Gidman ahead of Stapleton. Chris Turner is Manchester United's only fully fit senior goalkeeper at the moment. McCarthy. Here's Wilson. Warren getting the better of Varady again. Stapleton tried to guide it off with the chest, and at that chest height was the boot of Mick McCarthy. Indirect free kick for dangerous play. Contact with Stapleton around the trailing arm. Duxbury. Now Severbeck. Davenport, who hasn't really had an organised touch on the ball yet. And Duxbury was penalised, but Nabba got his free kick. Just showed a little gesture of annoyance, which was quickly stamped out by Brian Hill, who arrived immediately on the spot. Olsen, right side setting off outside him and now going ahead of him. Grealish went in wildly. Strachan. Now Duxbury and Severbeck. Stapleton checking out for the deeper cross, but it wasn't a good one by Severbeck standards. Warren over the back of Varady, who wasn't trying to jump. And this kick by Garton, rescued by Strachan. It's nervy and it's tense. And here come United. Whiteside. 2 blocked him, but he's got another chance, and then Suckling denied him. But Norman Whiteside thought his first effort struck a Manchester City arm. It could hardly have been intentional if that was the case. But his second effort was clearly blocked by Suckling. It was a good turn initially by Whiteside. He thought it struck a hand then. Strachan with the corner. Well met by McCarthy. City pushing out. Olsen trying to take them on. And then it's Redmond to the rescue. As he was fouled. Jesper Olsen has been saying this week that he would very much like to stay with Manchester United when his present contract expires at the end of the season. Half an hour of frantic and tense endeavour, but no goals. Strachan had taken the free kick in the wrong place, but is still berating Davenport for not making a run. And in some ways he's right. Stapleton, that's the nuisance value of Davenport! And well saved, Perry Suckling. He had luck on his side as the ball broke loose. But Manchester City didn't detect Peter Davenport then. Olsen. And Redmond does the defending. Stapleton had been the nuisance value. It was well hit by Davenport, and Suckling threw out an arm to make the save. Given away by Moran. White trying to get up ahead of steam, but he was starting from too far back and handicapped himself out of it against Colin Gibson. Well, Jimmy Frizzell clearly sent Manchester City out here in a very positive frame of mind. They parried and they chased Manchester United. White. But although City have certainly held their own in midfield, David White and Paul Simpson haven't quite had the service that they might have hoped for to try and create chances. Gidman rolling back the years. Strachan. Good running from Stapleton, and City are caught here. But Clements came across to plug the gap. Davenport was unmarked inside Frank Stapleton. Clements just hit up the ground. Olsen taking the corner. We've had 30 seconds of stoppage time. Jesper Olsen ran out of time before getting in his cross. A tight first 45 minutes with one real opening, which came the way of Peter Davenport. But Perry Suckling thrust out an arm and made an excellent save to protect the level scoreline for Manchester City. At half-time at Old Trafford, it's Manchester United 0, Manchester City 0. The last time City were at Old Trafford in the FA Cup was 17 years ago in the 4th round. They came here then as holders, and United took great delight in loosening their grip on the trophy with a 3-0 win. City here have kept up a tremendous level of commitment over the first 45 minutes, particularly in midfield. The test will be whether they can sustain that throughout. Redmond. Down from Simpson to Berardi. More on the defender. He lost his balance, but United kept the ball. Only for a moment. Making life difficult for him. McCarthy in the end had to play the ball the way he was facing, which perhaps suggests that it's getting a little slippery out there. Olsen. Nicely played by Duxbury for Stapleton, who wants some support, or does he? It hit Clements, who unaccountably gives it straight to Strachan, and the chip was interesting to say the least. Gordon Strachan remarkably hasn't scored this season, but he was close then. After the mistake by Clements, it was almost a pass from blue to red, and Strachan lifted it up, but not over Suckling. Both sets of supporters so committed, trying to lift their respective favourites towards a winning goal. Whiteside, and Suckling responds again. A young goalkeeper who's learning his trade, very much in the spotlight. Keeps Manchester City alive again. Strachan. Olsen got back and was onside. Strachan. Davenport, City stretched. Davenport again. Came off Moran's knee. Retrieved by Strachan, struck by Garden. Corner. Perry Suckling in the firing line here. And it was a superb save from Norman Whiteside. Whiteside again, just too high for Stapleton, who's labouring a little. Simpson the only player forward for City, and he's bought his side some time. Not for long. Clements' header. Then Garton for United, and here's Olsen. Whiteside. Redmond kept his eye on the ball when he was trying to make a challenge from a difficult angle. Could have given away a free kick, and it was good play not to. Strachan. Even the older hands are making mistakes for fear of doing the wrong thing in such a pressurised occasion. Clements was just shepherding the ball through, and Strachan was trying to catch the referee's eye as he fell. Is still down at the other end of the field. White. No real help close at hand. Strachan making his way back. Can be very painful when you fall on the lower back. Gibson, it seems, preparing to come on. Simpson. That was aimed for Wilson, but didn't find him. Strachan. Goodman finding himself in a central covering position again. Duxbury. Now Strachan. Possibilities here for United. Came behind Olsen. There's 4 forward with him, and Redmond made contact with the ball with the tackle, and even the Stretford end didn't bay for a penalty. Whiteside. Got to hit it with his right foot, but here's Davenport. And it's put in by Whiteside when they were stopping, wondering whether the referee was going to blow. City lost concentration for a fraction of a second. Because they thought they might have had a penalty there. Instead they have a goal. Whiteside, who's been in cracking form in recent games, his 5th goal in his last 7. Manchester United breaking through 20 minutes into the second half. And a goal in keeping really with the shape of the match. A loose ball summarily dispatched by the goal scorer on Song. It was the last act in which Peter Davenport was to be involved in the match as he fell just before Whiteside scored. He's been replaced by Terry Gibson. 3/4 of the crowd of 54,295 in celebratory vein. But the place in the 4th round isn't secure for the Reds yet. Clements will look to drive on his team. Stapleton. Strachan! Close enough to have Suckling plunging to his left. It was a lovely touch from Stapleton to set him up. And Tony Grealish feeling the effects of his flu. Doesn't last the course. And Graham Baker, another midfield player, but one with more of an eye for goal, takes over. Goodman. Varane! No. And Imre Varane has a smile that turns to disappointment. Varane, who struck 2 goals on this ground 2 years ago in a famous win for Sheffield Wednesday in the 1st Division. Flicked it on, but the referee had blown. Chris Turner has his critics in Manchester, and he's close to a clean sheet in the Manchester derby. And he's a goalkeeper who responds in the most dedicated way to any adverse comments. Nobody works harder at his game. You can measure it now in seconds, the distance between Manchester United and a place in the 4th round of the FA Cup. And they've done it! Alex Ferguson wondered long and hard about whether to play Norman Whiteside as an out-and-out attacker in this Manchester derby. Well, he put him in midfield, but he still came up with a goal after 65 minutes to give Alex Ferguson a happy first taste of the FA Cup. A victory with not just the satisfaction of tremendous local pride in this most traditional of rivalries, but it also gives Manchester United some extra stimulus into the second half of the season. Defeat would have left little but the battle to stay in the First Division, and that's now the prospect facing Manchester City. The final score at Old Trafford, it's Manchester United 1, Manchester City 0.
So 1-0 to United, but City tonight still disputing the decision which ruled out that Imre Varadi effort. Apparently the referee said he was pushing. City manager Jimmy Frizzell reckons it cost his side a replay and a badly needed £60,000 payday. Well, nothing could dent the enthusiasm of Maidstone United fans drawn away to Elton John's Watford. The non-league club took an estimated 4,000 following to Vicarage Road. Our reporter Andy Stegel joined those fans and the part-time players of Maidstone, who were given VIP treatment on their big day out.
Maidstone had travelled in style, a luxury coach and a top hotel in North London. While Maidstone's chances were always a long shot, still their ambitions were there for all to see. The signs said it all, as the Minnows plotted Watford's downfall in their morning retreat. As far as the papers were concerned, their players were top of the bill already, among them John Glover. His job to mark one of Britain's most skillful players, John Barnes. At lunchtime, the players eating fretfully. Lamb was on the menu, but no thoughts that Maidstone were lambs to a soccer slaughter at Vicarage Road.
Your last message to the players today will be?
Work harder than you've ever worked in your lives, because you're going to have to do that.
Bill Williams' optimism was shared by 4,000 fans who travelled from Kent, many on specially chartered trains. Inside the ground, nerves were jangling.
Absolutely. I can't tell you which small room I've been in for the last 24 hours. No, I think we'll be all right.
In the changing room, Maidstone's collection of taxi drivers, accountants, a pet shop owner and a bricklayer prepared. Meanwhile, their ball boys spelled out a get-well message to Elton John. The Watford chairman's recovering from a throat operation in Australia.
Mark, just moments away. What's it feel like?
Looking forward to it. A little bit nervous, but all the lads are really keyed up and ready to go.
But Hill was about to lead them into a soccer education. After 70 seconds, Watford's Mark Falco a bootlace away. This shot from Bardsley, Maidstone keeper Derek Richardson down to save. From the cross, Falco thought he'd made amends for his early lapse, but he was judged to have handled. Half an hour gone, Maidstone shell-shocked but ready to counter. Tony Lynch, their man of the match, was finding his range. Then the unbelievable. Maidstone took the lead. As the ball runs loose, Galloway's free to score. His goal in the last round knocked out another league club, Cambridge. Morning dreams had an afternoon's certainty about them. Until, with 90 seconds to go in the first half, a corner. Two flicks, Barnes, McClelland and Falco with the final touch for Watford. The former Spurs player rewarded for his first half persistence. And in the second half, 2 minutes gone, Watford took the lead. A patient build-up. And as the cross comes in, watch for Falco's dummy, and substitute number 13, Malcolm Allen, runs on to score. From then on, Maidstone didn't manage a serious challenge on the Watford goal. Weeks of preparation were numbed by the Arctic cold. But Kent pride was summed up by Derek Richardson, who pulled off a string of defiant saves. If there's still currency in the sporting maxim, it's better to have played well than won, then Maidstone acquitted themselves with distinction. But even Richardson couldn't deny Watford in the last minute. Allen picks up the ball in the penalty area, and there's Falco for his second and Watford's third. Full-time the score, Watford 3, Maidstone 1. But the non-leaguers' gallant effort was recognised by their First Division peers. The Watford team applauded Maidstone off the field.
Andy Stegall reporting. Well, one non-league side who did get a replay were Carnarvon. They held Barnsley to a goalless draw. 4th Division strugglers Orient held neighbours West Ham. Steve Castle scored a last-minute penalty in a 1-1 draw. And Laurie McMenemy's Sunderland are out, beaten 2-1 after scoring first at Wimbledon. Reading old boy Laurie Sanchez got one of the Wimbledon goals. And Swansea of the 4th Division beat West Bromwich of the 2nd, 3-2 the scoreline. Sean McCarthy scored a last-minute winner. And 1st Division Charlton lost at home to Walsall of the 3rd. Craig Shakespeare got a late winner there, writing off Charlton and a few of tomorrow's headlines. Dennis Mortimer scored Birmingham's winner at Ipswich, the first time the home side have failed in the 3rd round for 16 seasons. Some other headlines: Tottenham were hot favourites against 4th Division Scunthorpe, but they could only manage a 3-2 victory. Mabbott put Spurs in front. Johnson equalised before half-time, and then goals from Klassen and Waddle looked to have sewn it up for Spurs. Scunthorpe, though, pulled one back through Demange to leave the 1st Division side narrow winners. And Queen's Park Rangers thrashed Leicester 5-2, all their goals coming in the second half. Terry Fenwick got 2 of them. But tonight there's no doubt at all where the biggest celebrations have been taking place, at Aldershot. There weren't many there to see that great win over Oxford, but for those who were, the price most certainly was right. From all of us here on this TVS Big Match special, it's a very good night. Thanks for joining us, and I hope you've enjoyed what has been an action-packed programme. Good night to you.